Hello ladies and gentlemen, Ghost here, and today I'm back with another Hearthstone tutorial. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Zoolock. If you would like to see last time's episode, you can click on the annotation on the screen now to take a look at a Bloodlust Shaman. Now this deck is definitely one for beginners. It's very easy to learn how to use, but it really makes you learn a lot about different board positionings, which play a very large role in Hearthstone. So this is what is referred to as an aggro deck in Hearthstone, which essentially identifies a deck that is more about being offensive rather than defensive and trying to take your opponent down as quick as possible via charge minions and buffs. So there's not really a lot of removal spells within the deck itself. You're really playing on time here, and more likely than not, the more a game goes on as a Zoolock, the more likely you are to actually lose. So without further ado, let's take a look at what cards the deck contains. Alrighty, so starting off here with the only two spells in the deck, you're going to be needing 2 Soulfires, which will give you some much needed removal from time to time, 2 Abusive Sergeants. These cards are a great way for you to buff your own minions and take down more powerful ones. 2 Argent Squires, these work fantastic with the Abusive Sergeants here since they have Divine Shield. 1 Elven Archer, just to give you that 1 damage that you can need at a key point in the game. 2 Flame Imps, simply because they are an incredibly powerful 1-drop minion. 2 Voidwalkers as your taunt minions for a little bit of defense. 2 Direwolf Alphas once again to help up buff the rest of your board. 2 Knife Jugglers, you're going to be depending a little bit on RNG for this deck. 1 Lorewalker Cho, now you don't specifically need Lorewalker Cho, so if you don't have this card then don't fret about it, but I like to run it. It really adds another level of complexity to playing this deck, and I find that whenever I play this on the board, this usually makes my opponent think once or twice about what he's going to do. 1 Blood Knight, these scale really well with your Argent Squires and Scarlet Crusaders, you can get some nice buffs from those. 2 Harvest Golems, solely because they have so much value. 2 Scarlet Crusaders, once again minions with Divine Shield, will scale really well with Abusive Sergeant and Dark Iron Dwarf. 2 Dark Iron Dwarves, once again similar to the Abusive Sergeant here, going to help with buffing up your minions. If you can, you want to buff the Scarlet Crusaders and the Argent Squires in order to use their Divine Shields. 2 Shattered Sun Clerics, these will help buff up your minions that you already have out on the board. 2 Defender of Argus, some more taunts out on the board to help protect your hero, as well as some buffs. 2 Doom Guards, these are extremely powerful charge minions, but they can come at a big cost. And 1 Argent Commander, mainly going to be used for board removal. So how do you go about winning with this deck? Well, what the Zoolock deck is all about, and indeed any aggro deck, is keeping board control. Now this deck is great because it has a lot of low drop minions, so you can establish board control relatively early on, if not from the very first go. So really what you want to do is try and keep that board control for the entire game. Go to the face on the enemy hero whenever you can. You want to try and wear him down fairly quickly, because as the turns progress, your enemy is going to have more and more things like AoEs available to him, and that's really going to put a crimp in some of your plans. So first of all, you really have to think quite a lot about your board positioning. You want to make sure that you're optimally using your Direwolf Alphas and your Defender of Argus. So playing a Zoolock is really going to teach you the effectiveness of making effective trades within the game from minion to minion. So some great plays to look out for is using minions that have Divine Shield in conjunction with your Abusive Sergeants and your Dark Iron Dwarves. These minions are going to buff one of your minions for the first go with +2 damage, so you can really get some amazing value out of those Divine Shields to take down some of your opponent's really big minions. And that's really the way you want to play this out. You want to keep the board control and then do damage to the enemy hero whenever you have the opportunity to do so. Now another thing you really have to have in mind is what class you're playing against and what AoE spells he's going to have available to him. So you have to know that if you're against a Druid, he's going to have Swipe available to him at 4 mana. If you're against a Shaman, he's going to get Lightning Storm at 3 mana. If you're against a Mage, he's going to have Flame Strike at 7 mana. And these spells you can pretty much be sure are going to be run by any Druid, Shaman or Mage. So you have to be a little bit wary about what cards you play. Don't completely empty your hand by your third go if you're up against a Shaman and then have everything lightning striked. More often than not, as a Zoolock, if you end up emptying your hand and you have nothing to play with, you're going to end up losing the game. Now, another reason this deck works so well with the Warlock is of course due to life tap. If you find yourself stuck in a rut, you don't have any minions that you can really do anything with, then feel free to life tap. but be careful with it because you don't want to overuse it too much and end up losing the game. If you're getting down to sort of 15 health, you really don't want to be life tapping at that point if you can avoid it at all. On the other hand, if you're still with 30, maybe 25 life left, you're pretty much owning the opponent, so maybe he's down to around 15 or 10 health, then feel free to life tap. You're almost safe to do so in that situation. So one other thing that I'd like to quickly mention is about spells like Doomguard and Soulfire. So you have these 4 spells in your deck that are going to throw away some of your cards. So really the perfect time to use these is when you have one of these in your hand but no other cards. So essentially you can use them for free without having to throw anything away. Sometimes you are going to end up in a sticky situation where you have a Doomguard in your hand and a Soulfire, or maybe 2 Soulfires, and usually Sod's Law comes into play, and if you play a Soulfire, your other Soulfire of course gets chucked away. That's just the reality of it. There is quite a bit of RNG in, of course, the card drawing system, and which cards you're going to lose when you play those, so just have that in mind. One other awesome combo to look out for is of course using your Blood Knight in conjunction with your Scarlet Crusader or Argent Squires. As you can see here, he consumes the Divine Shield on any minion and will get plus 3/3 by doing that. Granted, I probably should have played my other Scarlet Crusader here in this play and then played the Blood Knight, giving him 9/9, but I'm a dumbass, what can I say? I don't know. I didn't see that play for some strange reason at the time there, although I blatantly see it right now. Now, in regards to using Lorewalker Cho, I like to use him as a sort of preventative measure for AoEs. So, right before my opponent is going to have enough mana to play his AoE spells, I like to bring out Lorewalker Cho. And sure, he may go ahead and bother to use his AoE, but at least I know that I'm going to get a copy of that spell as well. Your opponent knows it too, and that's most likely going to put him off from using those spells. Now, I do have to credit Mr. Trump the Almighty for this deck. This is actually his current Zoolock, and it's a fantastic deck. I've been using this for quite a few months, so I really recommend that you guys give it a go if you haven't already. But that's about going to wrap this one up, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this look at a Zoolock deck, and I hope you have fun using it as well. Let me know down below in the comments section what deck you would like to see me cover next time, or just generally what Hearthstone coverage you would like to see. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.